Chiefs fans, I know some of you might not like what I'm about to say, but we have to talk about it. One part is about where future games might be played. The other, changes to the coaching staff. Changes many hoped for, but may not be happening. Plus, the latest on the team's plans for the left tackle position and much more. Let's start with something that's been causing a lot of buzz: sports betting in Missouri. Back in November, voters barely approved its legalization, with hopes that everything would be running smoothly by summer or late 2025. But now, it's looking like that won't happen. The Missouri Gaming Commission just announced a delay, and it's all because the Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, rejected the emergency rules needed to speed things up. He says this situation doesn't qualify as an emergency, so now the timeline is pushed back, possibly until December 2025. No matter how you feel about sports betting, one thing is clear: it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's growing fast. Just last year, sports betting revenue in the U.S. jumped 27%, reaching nearly $11.1 billion. So, while many states are cashing in, Missouri fans might have to wait until more than halfway through the next football season to fully take advantage. But that's just the beginning. Big changes could be coming, not just for the Chiefs, but for another beloved team in Kansas City. The future of Arrowhead Stadium and the Royals might look very different soon. Let's break it all down. Big changes could be coming for Kansas City sports, changes that could shake up where the Chiefs and Royals call home. And right now, the talks about them moving to the Kansas side are only getting louder. Missouri is scrambling to keep both teams from leaving. They're reportedly working on a proposal for the November 2025 ballot, aiming to lock them in for the long haul before their current lease expires in 2030. One option? A 20-year extension on the current stadium agreements. But here's the problem. Both teams seem to want something new, and Kansas might be ready to give it to them. Kansas City, Missouri, already hit a roadblock when Jackson County voters rejected a stadium tax extension back in April 2024. That tax would have funded a brand new Royals stadium downtown and major renovations at Arrowhead. But the plan was poorly presented, and when voters shut it down, ownership of both teams took it as a sign. Confidence in passing a public vote is low, and now the teams might be looking for an easier way forward, one that doesn't require voter approval at all. Enter Kansas. The state has a unique funding system called Star Bonds, essentially a way for the government to provide upfront money for big attractions. And guess what? The Royals and Chiefs are reportedly very interested. According to Bob Fesco of 96.5 The Fan, both teams are now leaning toward making the move. Sources inside both organizations say Kansas has been much easier to work with than Missouri. While Missouri is still figuring out a ballot proposal, Kansas could already be breaking ground on new stadiums by this summer. If that happens, it could mean the end of an era. The legendary Arrowhead Stadium may no longer be the Chiefs' home. Arrowhead Stadium has been standing tall since August 1972, making it one of the oldest stadiums in the NFL. But in just 5 or 6 years, it could be gone, just a memory of the past. Now, personally, I'd love for the Chiefs to stay in Jackson County, Missouri. I've been going to games there my whole life, and the thought of them leaving is tough. But at the same time, I get why ownership wants something new, and if Kansas is making the process easier and offering a better deal, it's hard to blame them for considering the move. But what do you think? Does it matter to you if they play in Missouri or Kansas as long as they stay in the Kansas City area? Some fans have told me, as long as they don't leave KC, I don't care which side of the border they play on. Others, though, are die-hard Arrowhead loyalists and can't imagine the Chiefs playing anywhere else. Let me know where you stand on this. Would you be fine with a new stadium, or should Arrowhead stay forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No coaching changes? All right, let's talk some actual football now. The Chiefs just made some coaching hires. Matt House and Chris Orr are officially joining the staff. Matt House is coming back as the team's senior defensive assistant. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he was KC's linebackers coach from 2019 to 2021 before leaving to be the defensive coordinator at LSU. Last year, he was with the Jaguars, but now he's back in Kansas City. Meanwhile, Chris Orr will be the new defensive quality control coach. He's actually a former teammate of Chiefs linebacker Leo Chenal and was most recently coaching linebackers at Jackson State. Not exactly the major coaching shakeup some fans were hoping for, but that's where things stand right now. So, those two additions are now official. But while the Chiefs added some new faces, they also lost a couple of key coaches. Safeties coach Donald Delisio? Gone. The Baltimore Ravens scooped him up to be their new defensive backs coach, and assistant defensive line coach Terry Braden Jr., he's heading to Nebraska to take on a bigger role as their defensive line coach. That means we've seen several changes on the defensive coaching staff. But on the offensive side, nothing. No announcements, no shakeups, just silence. And at this point in the hiring cycle, that likely means nothing is changing. For a lot of fans, that's frustrating. Many were hoping for a fresh mind to step in and bring new ideas to the offense. But as things stand, it looks like we're rolling into next season with the same setup. Joe Blameyer as the passing game coordinator, Connor Embry coaching wide receivers, David Girardi working with the quarterbacks, Andy Heck leading the offensive line, Tom Melvin coaching tight ends, Todd Pinkston handling running backs. And of course, Matt Nagy staying put as offensive coordinator. So, unless something unexpected happens, it looks like this is the coaching staff we're sticking with. Left tackle update. But one thing that won't stay the same, the left tackle situation. Let's be real, last year was rough. Chiefs left tackles combined for a 50.0 PFF pass blocking grade and allowed pressure on 11.3% of plays. That wasn't just bad, it was the worst in the entire NFL. So, for the love of all things good, this needs to be fixed. I've talked about this in detail before, but here's the latest. A source close to the situation believes the team will sign a veteran in free agency and then try once again to draft a young tackle. If that's the plan, at least we'll have a veteran presence to provide stability. Unlike last year when the Chiefs put all their faith in young, untested players like Juan Morris and Kingsley Suamataia. A big decision is coming, and the Chiefs can't afford to get it wrong. So, what about Kingsley Suamataia? Will he get a real shot at the left tackle spot this season? Last year, he was thrown into the fire and then pulled out just as fast. That's hardly enough time to decide if a player can handle left tackle in the NFL, especially when the Chiefs knew he'd need time to develop. If Kingsley doesn't win the left tackle job, don't be surprised if he shifts inside to right guard. Late last season, the Chiefs were already giving him some reps there, possibly preparing for Trey Smith's departure. And let's talk about Trey Smith. The expectation is that he's about to cash in big time, potentially becoming one of the highest-paid guards in the league. And while the Chiefs would love to keep him, here's the reality. Juwan Taylor is already making $20 million per year. Creed Humphrey is projected to get around $18 million per year. Joe Thuney is in the final year of his deal, with a $27 million cap hit. So, if the Chiefs have to choose between keeping their right guard or protecting Mahomes' blindside, the answer is obvious. A left tackle should be priority number one, and that really shouldn't surprise anyone. When Mahomes has even decent protection on his blindside, well, all he does is win Super Bowls. The McDuffie extension. Now let's shift gears to something that hasn't been talked about enough: contract extensions for the 2022 draft class. A lot of players from that draft are heading into the final year of their deals, but two names stand out: Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis. Since they were first-round picks, the Chiefs can pick up their fifth-year options, but that's not the smartest move, at least not for McDuffie. McDuffie has already proven he's one of the best corners in the league, and waiting to extend him will only make things more expensive. The salary cap is jumping to around $280 million this year, and locking him in now would save the Chiefs money in the long run. Just look at the numbers from last season. First in the NFL in lockdown rate at 68.5%, fourth highest overall grade of any cornerback named to the second-team All-Pro. This guy isn't just good, he's elite. So, if the Chiefs are smart, they get his extension done this offseason instead of waiting for his price to skyrocket. Locking down McDuffie. The smart move? Trent McDuffie isn't just good, he's elite. Last season, he was named first-team All-Pro, proving that he's not just one of the best corners in the league, but also one of the most versatile weapons in Spagnuolo's defense. And here's the thing, he's only 24 years old. That means his best years are still ahead of him. So why wouldn't the Chiefs lock him in with a long-term deal? Look at the market. Patrick Surtain II is making $24 million per year. Jair Alexander is at $21 million per year. McDuffie's number will likely fall somewhere in between, maybe around $23 million per season. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Chiefs almost never give second contracts to defensive backs. The last time they did? Eric Berry. So the question is, should they break that trend for McDuffie? If they wait, the price only goes up. If they move now, they lock down a cornerstone for years to come. What do you think? Would the Chiefs be smart to extend him now? Or should they gamble and wait? Let me know your thoughts. A familiar face at safety? Now, let's talk safety. Justin Reid is set to hit free agency, but what if the Chiefs look to the past instead of the future? Juan Thornhill, a familiar name for Chiefs fans, was just cut by the Browns. In Cleveland, his numbers dipped, just 4 pass breakups and 0 interceptions over 2 seasons. But let's be real, that Browns defense wasn't exactly elite, and their offense didn't help either. But remember his last season in Kansas City? 8 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. That's the Thornhill Chiefs fans remember. Now, he hasn't been the healthiest, missing 12 games over the past 2 seasons, but if the Chiefs believe in Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook as the primary duo, Thornhill could be a cheap, veteran depth piece, saving the team millions compared to re-signing Reid. Of course, Justin Reid is the better player right now, but if the Chiefs need to free up cash for other moves, bringing back Thornhill could make a lot of sense. What do you think? Should KC consider a Thornhill reunion? Or should they find a different answer at safety? And, by the way, tomorrow is a big day. Andy Reid and Brett Veach are set to speak with the media, and you know I'll be back with all the updates. So stay tuned, because big moves could be coming soon. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go.